Every business owner started their business for a reason. They wanted freedom.
Everybody gets into this and we all think, I'm leaving the 9 to 5. But what happens to so many founders is they exchange the 9 to 5 for the 24/7.
What have you learned about this concept of freedom as a founder?
We confuse productivity with effectiveness. Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're effective.
If you don't know your customer's problem, you will never be able to confidently give them anything else.
Humility is one of the most necessary character traits of a good leader.
If we make a sale or don't make a sale, it doesn't make me better or worse. Did the person I was with make it to where God wanted them to be?
Best leaders I know measure themselves not just by the metrics of growth for their own life, but in the life of their people.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Good Business. I am so energized right now. And I have two Fraziers on this. And I feel, yes, once again, there's a Frazier sandwich.
You've been in a
I've been in a sandwich all day long.
How lucky are you?
Anyway, all that to be said, guys, I've got Scott Frazier, and congratulations, you've just today, as of the recording of this podcast, sold your business.
That's going down. Yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Luke is the networker of all networkers. So I thought, and then I heard about the other Frazier,
He's
Mr.
actually
Scott.
my secret weapon.
And so we're just gonna have a ton of fun today, guys. I frankly don't know exactly where this episode's gonna go, but I know it's going to be fun, and I know we're going to dive into what it looks like to run a good business. I mean, the man just sold his business. We got something to learn, and in addition to that, he is an entrepreneur. He cares about running a good business. And so with that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Luke to give us a rundown about what is about to happen.
Yeah, I'm also happy to be here today. Do my own intro.
So much energized. My co-founder.
Wow. I did not know. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. Wow.
Co-host.
We're going to have to talk about that later. So, in all seriousness,
We're having a lot of fun, people.
In all seriousness, Scott has become a great friend of mine. We should tell everybody, we're not brothers.
We're not actually
related.
At least probably further down the line.
Yeah,
you know,
we're going to do a 23andMe after
Yeah.
this, if they still do those, and figure it out. But you've had a really gorgeous career, I'm going to say, in the terms of, I mean, you've been everywhere from ministry to working with high-level venture capitalist funds to running your own company to having your hands in different real estate things and tech and AI and people and you've been places, family company you were raised in, and so you've got a lot of things. You did just there's a lot of things I want to talk about in those spaces. However, you did just sell you did your first sale of a company.
Yeah.
And so honestly, I just kind of wanted to ask, how are you feeling?
It feels surreal.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's your baby, right? It's something you invest your time, energy, especially when you talk about, I mean, I've always wanted to say, long-time listener, first-time caller. That's kind of how I feel about the podcast, but whatever the version of that is for actually being on the podcast and actually calling in it. But what does it look like for it to be good? What does it look like for it to be beyond yourself? Right? What's the Lord doing in it? And, I started it with my college roommate of mine. We had moved into the inner city together doing ministry. And so it was fun to have that experience again with us together, right? And so he's taken it and has a huge vision for it. So I got to sell it to him. He's taking full ownership, and I love it because we had that conversation of he had such a vision for it. And stuff that we're going to talk about today. Clay, we are going to keep on as much as we can on the rails.
Okay.
Because I still love it.
I've got a great outline here.
You got a great outline. I was reading the outline going, I love all these things. I love talking about these things.
Yeah.
Because I love helping entrepreneurs become better.
Yeah.
I love seeing people have greater impact, getting freed up, no pun intended, right? Name the company, but actually getting freed up to step into their zone of genius.
Yeah.
What their special gifting is, and to do more of it, not less. And what does that do for the company? What does that do for them as an individual?
Yeah.
But it does feel surreal. I mean, you guys are catching me right on the the
Gave
very
you
beginning.
So much energy.
You come off the sign. We give you a coffee.
Friday
afternoon, like
I hit a cortado.
The sun is shining.
Sun's
Oh my
shining,
gosh.
feeling good.
Yeah. Scott, I think that one thing, because I've been through what you're going through right now. I've sold multiple companies, and the very first one was truly like there's this blinder off and this weight off, and I'm like, I have so much opportunity before me, and it's exciting. But I think, and you know, the question that I had written down to begin with actually really applies right now, which is great. So thank you for zeroing us back in on that plan. But every founder, every business owner started their business for a reason. And that reason was they wanted freedom.
Yes.
They wanted the freedom to chart their own course. They wanted the freedom to maybe spend more time with family, or not be in a typical 9-to-5, or they wanted to do ministry, or there was one reason or another that caused them to start it, and it was all tied to freedom. And you are experiencing that right now, is a new kind of freedom.
Yes.
But unfortunately, what the common theme is that I hear from business owners, that after that honeymoon period of, you know, I'm a year in and we're making it, it's like, it's actually not that. It's like everything's burning down right now. And it doesn't feel like freedom. It often feels like chains. It feels like,
you're like a
prison. Yeah.
Yes.
And so I'd love to just dive into that right now, because you have hit that aspirational identity that most business owners have when they start a company, which is, I want to be able to sell this one day. Yes. And guys, I'm talking to y'all listeners. If that's not on your mind about your business, then what you have done is you have built yourself a job. And that is not why you should own your business. You should own your business, and your business should always be for sale. Not that is the motion, but if someone comes and gives you an offer you can't refuse, and it's a part of your long-term plan for your family and for your purpose, cause, passion, then you should do it. Yeah. And you should be open to it at the very least. Because what you're doing is you're building an asset. Yes. And it is for the ideally for your family or for your legacy or what have you. So what you're doing right now is what every founder dreams of. And I would just like to say congratulations. Thanks. And what have you learned about this concept of freedom as a founder?
That's a great question. I think you're nailing it, is that everybody gets into this and we all think, all right, I'm leaving the 9-to-5. But what happens to so many founders is they exchange the 9-to-5 for the 24/7, right? You're going all of a sudden that you didn't realize all the things that would then come on your plate, especially the first time if you didn't jump into entrepreneurship right out of the gate. You know, I wasn't that guy, right? I had a family business, so stepped into a sales role. We owned an industrial distribution company, right? We literally sold bolts, nuts, and screws, right? Austin Bolt Company was the name of my grandfather started it in the 80s in Austin. And you know, everybody's like, oh, Austin Boat? I'm like, I wish it was Austin Boat. It was not Austin Boat or Boats. It was Bolt, all right?
Honestly, boring is awesome.
Oh, my. I look back, I'm like, I wish we still had that company, right? That was before Cody Sanchez made it cool. You know what I'm saying? This was before boring businesses got cool. But this is the reality, is that you step in and you don't realize all that you're gonna take on. Yeah. When you're in sales, you're dialed in. You're looking at how many outreaches you're doing, how many contacts, how many meetings, you're looking at this. You're not realizing that, the owner's looking at everything. They're looking at the finances. They're looking at hiring. They're looking at recruiting. They look at talent management. They're looking at can we do something different on marketing or strategy, like you guys help businesses. And so I think that was the real thing, was realizing that most people are trapped. Yeah. That you exchange the 9-to-5 for not a business or ownership, but you just exchange it for another job that actually is more pressure.
And probably doesn't pay as well.
Just statistically doesn't pay as well. I mean, you look at the data on this, and it's crazy. You're like, the likelihood that it doesn't succeed is pretty high. Yeah. And the likelihood that you're gonna make more money that's not the case. Yeah. And so you really have to know you're stepping into something that, okay, I can see this being sustaining, and but I think it's the intention which you go into it, right? And then I think, honestly, you probably found this along the way, is that freedom becomes something that you strive for, right? You're like, you long for that, but you don't necessarily know how to get there. So then it becomes, all right, how do I become not just how do I put the systems, but how do I become the person that is free, right? Not just build the systems that free me, right? Because I think that is that growth in a company is just as much about character and who you are to be the person that can actually scale the company to the size in which you want it to. And so I think that was, and honestly, the name that I was talking to Dan about this earlier of why'd you name it that? It was a college roommate and I started the company, and we're just talking about, man, what does it look like to be freed up? And he just said it in the conversation, and we were sending voice notes back, and we were like, freed up. Yeah, freed up. That's exactly. We're trying to free you up to go do the stuff that you love doing. And so it was the intention of, and we both kind of come from a place where if we're jumping in, we'll be a little vulnerable, right? I'm coming out of the gates with it, guys. Just, you're welcome, everybody. But you think about, I'd come from a place where I overworked, right? I burned it out. We had 4 kids. I was working in this kind of unique position between kind of real estate, private equity, and running a nonprofit. And I was doing all this stuff, and I just was working, burning the candle on both ends. And I was anything but free. I found myself just burned out, at the end of myself, not the best version of myself, going, there's got to be more than this. It can't look like this. And so even when we built it, we went, what does it look like to free up founders to be the best that they can be? Not just at work, but also at home. That was actually the real, that was actually it for us. And so that was kind of our intention going into the whole thing, So that was kind of for us, at least the origin story, where that kind of was coming from,
And you guys, this didn't start, the company actually didn't start from that idea in a way. You guys started going a different route. Talk to us a little bit about the group, the sort of accountability group, the 90-day sprint group that you guys built up.
There we go. So you guys you've done your history. I like this. You've done your research, baby. And we've talked about this.
I know you.
We know each other.
And you talk a lot.
I do talk a lot.
But so do I. And that's what I love about you.
That's why we literally we hang out, we'll have coffee for an hour, and we're like, I don't think we covered anything. I mean, I think we talked about one topic, and we were only supposed to talk about 4 other things at this time.
Yeah.
That was it. So the first thing that we did was we started just a cohort called 90 Days of Action. And it was based on a mentor of mine at the previous company I worked at, said he was hearing me, and I'm the guy that loves the research and looking at the podcasts, looking at the books, going, how do I consume it? One of my strength finders input. So I have like I love it. I'm going to go consume knowledge. I want to, because I just think, leaders are readers, that kind of concept.
Yeah.
But I think that what I got pressed in was, so my mentor, he was the CEO and founder of the company I was working at. And he said, I'm going to challenge you this quarter, no books, no podcasts, no anything. And I was like, hold on. Whoa,
I can't breathe anymore.
But that was it. He was saying a lot of people use that as a reason.
That's right.
And it's procrastination.
Yes.
You're using education as procrastination. Right? If I just learn more, and if I just read another book, if I just read another marketing book, if I can just read Seth Godin, or if I can just read another Donald Miller book, right? If I read StoryBrand 2.0, not 1.0, but 2.0, I'm going to really nail it this time.
Go get the shovel. Put the shovel in the dirt.
Put the shovel in the dirt, right?
Come on.
But that was his challenge. And what happened was, literally that quarter, we doubled in size from 40 staff to 80 staff.
Yeah.
Right? It was the best quarter I had in his company.
Gracious.
I was running, and it was just... But it was because he said, you already know.
Come on.
Stop.
Put it into practice.
Put it into practice. Be confident. Step into your power, into your gift.
Action.
Take action.
Yeah.
And so that was where 90 Days of Action came from, was this idea of what if for a quarter, it was kind of like, a little bit of spin-off 75 Hard was getting really big, We're just trying to be not as intense, You actually could...
Like 90 easy.
Yeah. Not full easy, but, hey, maybe somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And add in like 15 more days, right? But it was kind of... But I think that was it for us was... Hey, what if you got rid of another podcast? What if you just stripped all that down?
Yes.
And you focused on, what are your top goals?
Yeah.
And let's reverse engineer those. So I always like to say it was if you took James Clear's Atomic Habits and you merged it with Huberman and they had a baby, 90 Days of Action is what it would be.
Wow.
And it was just this accountability to, hey, there's the few goals.
Do you guys have a book yet?
That's got to be coming next, right?
It's got to be next. Come on, man, bring it.
Amen.
But we just wanted to go, all right, how do we do it? So we made it real simple. It was, the early stage was, hey, I'm going to charge you $250 because you got to have skin in the game. And the early stage was you had to do it with a partner. And so that you could have that one-to-one accountability, but you were going to track every day and you were going to post into a Slack channel every day, did you do what you said you were going to do?
Yeah.
And you either did or you didn't. And there was no shame. Right? I'm not going to shame you for not doing it. It's just, I think all of us are like, no, I'm really growing in this. Or like ask a sales guy, no, I made 50 calls. And you're like, did you though? right? Like, let's go look at the numbers. Let's go look at the CRM. And you're like, you made 17. All right. It felt like 50 because everybody said no. Rejection feels like 50. Okay.
It's so true.
Right.
Oh, man.
And so then what happened though after that first one was we had 3 companies get started. A nonprofit guy raised $600,000. And then we had a guy I believe in that first group that it was in the second group who he was with a friend of mine and he had lost like 70 pounds.
Wow.
I think he's over 100 pounds now, but he already had a program, but it was just an additional kind of infusion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of just, if you do what you say you're going to do and you're consistent, that consistency is going to compound.
Yeah.
Right. And so after that, what happened was in that Aaron was working at Coinbase. So my co-founder, I was doing M&A stuff. I was going to buy kind of small business because I didn't know I'd come from that. But we started on the side at the time it was just a virtual assistant company. You know, we were going, we knew how to do this. And so we said, okay, we're going to compete with Belay. And so we just did it on the side and we got our first 2 clients out of 90 days and we just kind of kept it humming, you know, of like, all right, we're just going to keep running this. And that was it. So, but that was where the birth of Freed Up was a US based fractional EA agency. Right. And so that's kind of where it all flowed from.
Amazing.
It was something.
Okay. So much needs to be done. What do we start with?
Well,
I mean,
there's a few different layers in here because you are one of my favorite networkers and have really honestly become this is really funny. We're all laughing. So I could kind of cry a little bit. Like you've become a really phenomenal friend.
Yeah. I feel the same.
And I believe that because of your history, because of your journey. And one of the things I want to talk about is what did you get out of ministry?
Yeah.
That has made you a better founder, owner, and leader?
Yeah. That's a great question.
all 3 of us have ministry backgrounds.
We all do, and like I have my presumptions. I think you probably do too. And we could all probably answer this question in a way. Our mutual friend Todd Linder runs a company where he helps actually ex-pastors get into the market.
Shout out to Launchpoint. Shout out Todd Linder.
Todd, come join my podcast, please.
He just hit 100.
I saw that
today
on LinkedIn and built it on LinkedIn.
He built it on LinkedIn, and so
it's incredible.
So it makes me curious because I know I have my presumptions. I believe it. I think we are all the kinds of people that are like, hey, I want to see the greatness come out of you because of our backgrounds, because of who we are, because of our faith. So just talk to me. Hey, for people who don't have a faith or background or belief, what did you get out of ministry?
Yeah.
Because I know you're still pastoring.
We don't ever really leave, do we?
No.
I mean, it's
you're locked in for life.
Yeah, you gotta.
But what did you get out of it? Take from it that has made you a better leader today?
Yeah, great question. And I'm curious to hear you guys talk about this too. And I'm going to answer from two different points. One, what I learned from it, but also what I learned leaving it, vocationally.
Yes.
And honestly, from maybe the more negative side of what I saw internally, that I think actually helped me in many ways. I think one is you learn to see people as Jesus saw them, which means really just to be seen, to be known, right?
They're not someone you need to go get something from.
That's it.
Yeah, it's not a project.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're chasing down in a box to be checked off.
Yeah.
Right? That you're going, this is a real human that has real hurts, real pains, real hopes, real dreams. Especially if any of us have dealt with, both my parents had siblings that were special needs, right? And so I think just learning early, just the dignity and value of each person and meeting them where they were and not trying to, it's helped in sales a lot, right? Of just going, right? That I'm not trying to help you. I'm not trying to close a deal. I'm trying to help solve a problem and help you get to a decision. Whether that's yes or no, doesn't matter. Because I might not be the best solution. I mean, we were talking about this earlier, right? Luke's closing, and Clay's like, maybe not. We're both sides of it, right?
Yeah.
And I think, man, I'm so grateful. Because, you can look back. I don't know if you guys feel this. There can be a sense of when you see your friends that went into consulting or went into something and crushed it, you look back and go, did I make the right decision? Going into ministry. You're like, I'm all in faith. And I'm all in, but I'm making nothing. Like, I was a youth pastor. I was getting paid in like tacos and sandwiches and gift cards, right? I mean, literally. And you're like riding on Jesus, baby, riding on love. And but I look back and I tell my wife all the time, when we have those moments of where, we take our eyes off faith maybe for a minute and we've kind of taking our eyes off the founder, perfecter, and we look at our life and circumstances and we go, oh man, should we have gone a different route? And I look back and go, no, are you kidding? I wouldn't change any of that time for anything, for any amount of dollars.
Yeah, it's a beautiful life.
A beautiful life. And my friends that are still called to it vocationally, I honor them. I'm like, man, what a beautiful calling. It's actually maybe consider the calling even more weighty as I've left it.
Yeah.
I'm just understanding what the call is to ministry. But I think just getting just understanding an anthropology of humanity, an understanding of humans. I think that's what changed me in regards to, but I'll say this at the end though, the second thing is I tell people that I was a really good pastor and a really bad disciple. I don't know if that makes sense, where I could get really good at the thing, right? The craft of getting up on stage, being funny and winsome, or making people cry and, you know, how many decisions and walking the aisle. We didn't walk in the aisle, but, you know, that's how we grew up, right? You know? And I went, what changed when I left though was wanting to be better internally. I wanted my character to far outweigh my gifts, right? And so I think that was the gift of being in ministry, was learning to love people well and meet them where they were at and go at their speed and then try to figure out how can we get you to where we need you to be. But the gift of leaving was the understanding that, man, maybe my character wasn't where my skills were. And so when I left, wanting to really focus and dial in on Scott, the follower of Jesus, Scott, the man, the husband, the father, and really prioritizing those things and wanting to be better at that as well. Yeah. So great question though.
You know, when it comes to ministry, I think anybody out there, you either have experienced this or you know someone who has experienced church hurt.
Yes.
And for me, I experienced a lot of tough stuff when I was overseas as a missionary. And I think we all have an opportunity to choose the victim card. And if it's actually really easy. It's like, they did this to me, this hurt my feelings, this broke me down, this held me back.
Yep.
And the reality is that's just life.
Yeah.
And you can choose to be the victim.
Yes.
Or you can choose to learn and grow through this. Right. So yes, a lot of bad things did happen to me when I was in ministry.
Yes.
But to your point, I grew.
Yeah.
Yes.
That stretched me. My pride was destroyed, decimated.
Nothing like your ego just getting smashed.
Oh my gosh, like to the core.
Yes.
And now I talk about it. Humility is one of the most necessary character traits of a good leader. Right. And I fail at it every single day. Just ask my wife. She will tell you. She's amazing.
Don't remind us.
I want to be like my wife one day when I grow up. But yeah, I think it is so essential to take that experience in ministry. For anyone who is listening in, if you have that background in ministry, don't carry the victim card with you, and don't carry the chip on your shoulder, because it's not going to help anyone. It's only going to hurt you.
Yes.
So I would encourage you, ask God, why did you allow me to go through this so that I can be the leader that you want me to be?
Yes.
Yeah.
How about you, man? It's your turn.
Well, one of the things that I think about and some of my experience, and I think it'll lead in for another good question for you, Scott, but as I look at it, the blessing that comes out of it to really echo all of what we're talking about here is that because of scenarios in ministry, you're dealing with other people's hurts, oftentimes more than your own, and then you forget about your own stuff, and then you got to deal with your own stuff, and there's a whole process in that mentally. And people, you should get help. You should go see people. You should go talk about it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, through that process, I think about Job, and I think about even Joseph and Abraham, and this is Jesus' story and Peter's story. What happened to me in ministry was a refining process to better understand the giftings God has given me, not as my own identity, I think, to your point, but as a literal gift. If I gauge my level of success based on how well did I speak here, or how well did I discern that, or did I pray and heal it? If I'm basing my worth and identity off of the outcome of my ministry, then I've lost. And I did that.
Wrong
and
scorecard.
I had leaders who did that. They weren't they didn't mean to. It just is you get put in the system, and there's a framework, and there's an organization, and it's hard to have an organization that is a church that is still doing ministry and also has to pay for a building. It's just a weird construct.
It's complicated.
And so for me coming out of it, it was really very much the actual gift was realizing that I have giftings, but they're not for me. And my identity isn't based on how well they're performing.
That's right.
And so I look at that now in the business world, in the sense of, if we make a sale or don't make a sale, it doesn't make me better or worse. But at the end of the day, did the person I was with, Scott, I think to your point, did they make it to where God wanted them to be?
Yeah.
And whether I was a piece or not in that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It just became a part of it. And so we were just talking to someone moments before this podcast that was, they're kind of struggling in their own sales process. And we were like, stop trying to make meetings to sell. Book meetings to build relationship with people.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's oftentimes where we get it wrong in pastoral ministry is like we're trying to book meetings to save people. And it ain't my job. It's not what Jesus wanted me to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't to save people. It was to disciple and to love on them. And that's a different construct. And so, as I look at and think about your career in all of that, you have really become an amazing salesperson, for-profit, non-profit, enterprise, bolts.
Bolts, nuts, and screws.
Bolts, nuts, and
It's
screws.
like home improvement
brilliant.
style. Yeah.
And so I want to touch on a little bit of your sales philosophy.
Yeah.
We talk a lot of LinkedIn. We talk a lot of in person. For you, and especially because we haven't even touched on it, but you're starting a new business. You're starting a new business.
Yeah.
And you're going a different route. We can talk about that in a moment. What do you believe is the core of good, healthy sales?
Ooh, that's a great question.
And maybe tie it into we're a marketing agency, and so we're now seeing a shift in people changing their mindset in sales and marketing, and we're seeing a lot more, hey, what's your revenue engine look like? Talk to me about your methodology and explain from your perspective, what's a healthy revenue engine look like?
Goodness, there's so many layers to that.
There are a lot.
There's a lot of layers to that.
And just for some, maybe to simplify it, think about it from a founder-led business.
Yes.
And we have a lot of business owners they started up, they're selling. Think about it from a founder-led business, and then passing that off to your first salesperson or two.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I mean, I think, and let me just say I appreciated y'all's answer to that previous question. I think you're dead on of what you learned around the identity piece, because that's so important, especially as we pivot to sales, that conversation around, hey, sales leader, your identity isn't in selling.
Oh, dude.
Right? Because if it is, Lord have mercy on your soul, because you are going to get crushed a lot, right? That idea of, because that's how it is in sales and in founding a business, you're on cloud 9 one day, and then you're going, it's going to be $1 billion business. And the next day you're like, we're shutting it down. You're not going to make it.
Text message takes you out, right? Don't look at your phone during the podcast.
Don't do it.
That's a life lesson for us.
Don't do it.
It's a note for you out there if you're doing podcasts. Founders, don't look at your phones.
Airplane mode. That's the secret.
Mode, that's the secret.
Oh, Lord.
But I think rooting your identity, right, in something transcendent. And Clay, I love what you said about the victim piece, because it's so important, because that's true in ministry and or work.
Yeah.
It's so easy to become the victim, but I'm like, man, in Christ, aren't we supposed to become victors? Right? Haven't we become... Right? Isn't that the truth? And so,
Pastor Scott, here we go.
I mean, I feel like I can't avoid it. It's like,
where's my hanky?
I know. I'm like, where's the 3 points? And they're all alliterated.
They're all starts with the letter P.
Oh, stop that.
But no, find yourself in business with people that want to push you into victory, into stepping into the right identity in the right place with the right intention, right, with the right vision and motivation, and what you're driving towards. Don't get in the community of people that want to let you sit in that victimhood, that victim mentality. Yeah. But then when you're thinking about what it means for sales and on that, I mean, one, you guys have done this so well, of founders, you have to sell. Right. I mean, I love that. If you think you're just going to go build the product and this is going to be filled with dreams, build it and they will come, that is just not reality. It is about brand positioning. It's about where you are, how you're showing up in the world, how you're talking about it. And I think it's funny. I just did a sales teaching for my friend's roofing company. Actually, I think you had a meeting.
Yeah, Steven.
You did.
Yeah,
Steven,
Harmon,
shout out.
Allies
Roofing and Construction, you know, and we're just going to shout out so many people. We can talk about networking too. But that was one of the things was, I think it's evolved because number one is have a really close relationship with Darren McKee, right? Who's shaped a lot of my, he's literally the GOAT of LinkedIn social selling. The guy is just a master at it. And then I had also shout out to Chris Ray, who of Unicorn. And he was the one that really taught me about, because I really didn't. What's crazy is I look back and go, I never had that professional sales role, right? Like I was working in the family company, but you kind of do everything. It's like it's like ministry, right? You're like, you're the associate guy or the youth guy, but all of a sudden you're leading trips and you got small groups, and it felt the same way. Where I mean, one of the first things is I'm running the counter with my dad, and then he's like, you know what, you should really do collections. You know what we don't want to do? Collections. Okay.
That one sucks.
That one sucks bad.
Always outsource accounts receivable.
Always. It was because that was it. And so, there was a lot of experience with that. And then ministry is unique, right? Of the training and equipping you get in that role. And there is sales. I mean, you look back and go, that's why I tell, man, some of the best sales leaders are former pastors, former ministry people, because, man, there's nothing harder than selling religion. I mean, trying to sell, right? You're like, let me sell you a different worldview, right? You're like, that's a tough sell.
Yeah, non-tangible.
You don't get anything technically. It actually might make your life worse for a little bit.
Right.
It might get worse before it gets better. And so, but I think, and so then pivoting to that, and then private equity was its own unique. It had a really weird role. We can talk about that. It's the founder at the time. My mentor was, hey, can you come bring the kingdom into? Because I was going to go plant a church. Was going through the process and everything. And he was like, hey, you can go plant one, what he called a hipster cafeteria church. He was like, or you can come plant 1,000. That was the pitch that got me into moving into that role. Whole different story. But I think that then I stepped into this, like running in entrepreneurship, and I never had that formal, like I never had gone through Sandler or, I hadn't go, I mean, everybody's like spin selling, and, they're giving me these different books of, To Sell's Human, Daniel Pink, and then you've got, Brian Tracy and the books of what, and all these things you could do. But it was really just getting with coaches going, all right, let's shape my idea of what this is and what it means. And I realized a couple of things. That the thing that I keep holding on to is that the goal is not to sell, it's to serve. That my posture is, my identity as a seller is not as actually as a seller, it's as a servant. I want to be a servant leader to you. And that frees you from the pressure of, I got to close a sale, I'm going to be pushy, but it also, the humility you talked about, I mean, I wish we'd talk more about this, humility in business, right? Because the world just celebrates ego. It celebrates pride and being loud, and don't get me wrong, I'm very loud, right? Got a lot of energy. Like Luke said, I talk a lot. Working on that. But I think the humility piece where you can walk in and really try to find a solution for potential clients and really serving them in a real way, that's huge. And so I think for me, the philosophy has been, hey, I want to serve you, but what it also has allowed me to do though is, I think what we've seen is you had the transactional sales of the 50s, right? This kind of like, all I can think about is, guys door to door selling vacuum cleaners, right? You're like, and it's just kind of pushy, a little bit more car salesy, right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of saw the shift to relational selling, which was really big, kind of 90s, 2000s. That was kind of the main thing. But I think now the book, even though I know we talked about, I am a big fan of continuing to read, continue to listen to great podcasts, but was the challenger sell. That the idea that is you actually can challenge people though, right? I think what happens is when you don't have humility, sometimes you're either people pleasing too much. And you're going, no, you're right. Customer's always right, which actually isn't even the full quote, by the way, right? Like, the customer may be right sometimes about some things, but if you're the expert in marketing or SEO or whatever, you actually can listen to the pain points, figure out what they're actually going to, and go, hey, can I challenge you on that? Right? So I think the philosophy is to serve and to be humble, but at the core of that though, allows you to sell and build relationship without having to go, my identity is rooted on whether I make this sell or not. But also, I don't have to people please and back off when people are like, this is just not for me. I can ask follow-up questions and really lean in and go, but what if, have you thought about it this way? Have you thought about it that way? Right? And so I think really the core philosophy has been to not view myself as a seller, but to view myself as a servant and to serve them in the capacity, which actually is what frees you up, no pun intended, to sell freely.
Yeah.
You know, not trying
Yeah.
to root yourself in the identity of it all
Right.
and the success of it, but also where you can push back where necessary.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It brings a
Absolutely.
lot of clarity too, because if you're confident in your service and what it offers, and you're confident in your ability to sort of audit where a potential client is at,
Yeah.
it gives a different air of I'm confident that this is what it does when you do this, this, and this. And if we're both agreed that you're not going to do this, this, and this, or your company doesn't want to do those things,
Yeah.
then we should probably find another solution. And it makes it that's where I think the freedom really fits when it comes to that kind of level of
Do
selling.
y'all think that people sell more aggressively or less confidently when they're not confident in the product? I mean, I think when you're worried about the product and or delivery,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And or like, am I going to hit quota?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, if
I
you're
thi-
worried about losing your job because
Yeah.
you're not hitting a quota, that's a big one.
Yeah.
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 That's a
Well,
big one.
and to your point, like the world in the past 10, 15 years, we've moved to more, here's a big list.
Yeah.
You need to make 50 to
Email
100 calls.
blast.
Yeah.
Email blast.
You got to make 50,
Automations.
You gotta
Get in
Oh,
the.
gosh.
Yeah. You got to make 50 to 100 cold calls a day. Like.
By the way, if I can just interrupt, I am so glad that the SB 140 bill passed here in Texas because my phone has actually been quiet. Like I haven't been getting any spam since that happened. It's amazing.
You're going. I mean, I was getting hit so. There was a season where it
it's so
really
bad.
peaked.
Yeah, the telemarketing was out of control. Anyway,
Yeah.
keep going.
No.
Sorry.
That's important. That's an important note.
It's a good thing, guys.
Pass it in your state too. All right.
but like our influx of the ability to gather data started to water down our relationships.
Yeah.
And that's
Amen.
what happened. And I'm actually really excited because we're about to. One of our other guests in the conversation is a company called Sift, and they use an AI tool to gather research that's
Yes.
targeted so that when you do reach out to somebody, you have enough. You have enough, again, confidence in what they're desiring.
Yes.
And I think that's when it comes down to, and I think that's what I'm getting out of it from you. I believe in it. We believe in this. If you don't know your customer's problem, you will never be able to confidently give them your product and service, let alone anything else in life.
Yeah, no way. I think right now, ironically, Darren and I was talking about this. The bar's so low right now to be good at sales. I really think so because I have a firm conviction about this, that even as AI is moving forward and we're integrating more into our companies, I think the future is more human, not less.
That's right.
100%. And that the people that are going to win in the future are the ones that can integrate the tools where they need to make you more efficient, more effective. I know y'all are EOS guys too, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. If you can implement good systems that are tracking the right numbers and you're putting the right tools in place to make you more efficient as a company and effective as a company, amen to that. But that you are also being more human, that you're doing the right research, that the AI you're leveraging is not dehumanizing people,
Correct.
but actually allowing you
Correct.
to be more human. And really, I mean, that's it, to be freed up, right, from the admin, for the
Yeah.
things that you should be doing. I mean, whether that's a great EA or a great EA and executive assistant, right?
Yeah.
Or having the right tool in place to help your sales team or your sales leader or ops leaders be more effective. Why wouldn't we do that?
Yeah.
But the bar's low for just being human. I mean, I tell everybody, I'm like, if you would just do 2 to 5 minutes of research, jump on, look at LinkedIn, Google their name, find them on Meta, right? Like, just look and see, do they have kids? Where'd they go to school? What?
Yeah.
You will probably find some connection point to that person or something interesting that you can actually talk about and be
Wait a
creative with.
second.
What?
You mean that we can't send emails or DMs that say, "I just noticed you posted about this on LinkedIn. You wouldn't happen to need 500x leads tomorrow, would you?"
It kills me, some of the automations right now. You're like,
that's so bad.
oh, I see that you went to
Ew.
so-and-so school. Did you go to that one event? And you're like, that's the most generic event
best-
that has nothing to do with
Yeah.
the school.
Guys, I went to school online.
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
The best one ever, since you mentioned Darren, the best one ever right now is literally like people are scouring Darren's. If you comment on a Darren McKee post and they're like, "I noticed you commented on Darren McKee's," it seems like you must be interested in who knows what they're selling. Like
Again, the bar is so low. Just don't do that. If you do something else,
Yeah.
it's somewhat creative,
Yeah.
somewhat intentional, with a little bit of research, you're
Yeah.
gonna be way more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's a big deal.
Yeah. So Serve First. I'd love to talk about his new company, but
Yeah.
But I want to keep going here.
Okay, so I actually wanted to pivot too. So I think this actually works well.
I mean, y'all take it where you
Pivot.
wanna go.
Pivot.
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 Okay, so one thing that you have consistently been focused on in your previous business was productivity, increasing productivity for the CEO, for the leadership. What does that look like?
Yes.
And I mean, what are your, like, this is the bare minimum, like, get started with this right now?
That's such a good question. And shout out to my co-founder, Aaron Hayslip. He's the brilliant one behind this. I mean, when we got this idea of the VAs and support, we were doing it as the side hustle, and then we had clients, and I think we can really do this. And we went all in January 2 years ago, and then, scaled relatively quickly. But I think that's what we saw is the real passion behind the company, though. And the passion that's always going to be behind is, as much as I hate it, I love self-help stuff, right? I really do. Not the gross kind, the unhelpful kind. I'm talking about the actual, how do you grow as a human? And I mean, I'd love to tell stories around. I mean, my mom and godfather had me listening to Tony Robbins tapes when I was young. I mean, literally, I kid you not. I mean, I had, some people had posters of like their favorite sports teams. My mom, we had a gym in our back. My mom was a coach, right? She was amazing woman. And we had like the Eagles soar above the storm, right? We had all the motivational posters everywhere, right?
Yes. And it was always animals and mountains.
It was always the buffaloes run into the storm, right? Like, it's always that.
The iceberg with the,
Exactly. And so I think, but productivity has always been at the core of what I've really loved. And that was what Aaron and I, when we started the company, the reason why we wanted to keep doing this was really to help people be more productive. And really, I mean, Clay, you asked the right question, which I think most people are unproductive because they're not clear. They lack clarity. I mean, clarity is the greatest productivity tool you could ever have. I'm like, if you could really do two things, it's get clarity on what you should be doing, which I think, shout out to EOS, any tool that will help you go, because it can feel, I mean, we talked about this at the very beginning.
It's overwhelming.
Founders, it's overwhelming. You're going, what do I spend time on? Everything's crying out for help and for support, and everything, it just feels like everything's burning down at all times, right? Don't even have CEO, just firefighter should be on like your business, card. You're going, this is what you are because you're always putting out fires. But which things actually move the needle?
That's right.
Right? And so I think the first thing is always, because I saw some of the questions too about like the 15-minute, check-in, weekly sync, talking about what you hand off. But what I would tell guys, and because I've been coaching founders for the last couple of years, right? Because we would connect with the EA, and then we would do quarterly meetings, right? Going, hey, how are we feeling? Are we being productive? Are we actually moving it? And the first thing really is, are you clear about what really moves the needle? And I think that most of us, we confuse productivity with effectiveness, right? Just because you're busy doesn't mean you're effective. Right? I think we see this in sales all the time, right? You're going, yes, you could be dialing, you could be sending all the emails, but that doesn't equate to closing sales. There's more nuance. There's science and art. It's a combination of both. So what I tell every founder at the beginning is get really clear, right? Get a good system that you want to use, and then also put on airplane mode and just do some deep work for the love of God, right? You're like, just because we live in a world where we're so distracted, so like torn all over the place, that to go, these are the things that move the needle, and we're clear on that. And we're tracking it. And then I have time to actually do it. Because, and that was one of the reasons we started an EA company in the first place, was how much do founders spend time on low-level admin tasks where we used to say, let's say you're $100, $200, $300 an hour, but you can pay someone $15 an hour to do that. What are you doing spending $100 on a $15 task? That's not a good trade, but most of us don't even think about it.
Right.
I mean, I remember a friend called, it was one of my first sales calls, old friend, runs a drilling company, and there's also some like mindset stuff you got to work on. Right. We talked about this. You talked about, one of the questions you have on the list was, how do you get over handing off control? Right. Like, I mean, so I can't wait to talk a little bit about that too. I don't even know how we're doing on time. We're probably, oh my goodness, guys. All right. I'm like, guys, we're going. We're doing this thing. But this idea that, man, we're so stretched thin. Where do we spend our time on? And that, like, the exchange, we're just making bad. But the guy that I was talking to, right, he said his mom was like, yeah, but if you don't do that, what else are you gonna do? So there's this deep, especially family businesses and these things, or people around you not understanding.
And it's looked at as lazy.
If you hand that off, then what are you gonna do? And you're like, oh, I don't know. be more effective. I mean, I don't know, step into greater strength so that I'm actually energized by it. I'm actually fired up to do it. And so the first thing I would tell every founder is, if I could say, hey, the first 3 things before even selling an EA or anything like that is, hey, get clear on what you're doing and what actually moves the needle. And tied to that really is, hey, have a good system.
Yeah.
Because most people don't. I mean, that's the crazy, and it doesn't matter. I'm not an EOS purist. I'm like, you could do, Ryan Deese, right? I know he's got his stuff with digital marketer, and they've got their CEO, content and time management. Scalable, right? Yeah. But, and then just, carve out some time for deep work. Yeah. Like if you did those 3 things, if you actually got clear on what you wanted, you had a system you were being effective with, and you actually did some deep work and weren't distracted by pinging out that email, sending that text, doing those things, you would be so much further along today than you are currently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there was speaking of Tony Robbins, I remember listening to a conversation, I think it was like him and Gary Vaynerchuk years ago, and he was saying, because he runs 50, 60, 70 companies, right? I don't even know.
Yeah.
You talking about Gary or Tony?
No, Tony, it's a couple hundred.
He's involved in quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah. He's done all right.
But he's going to make it, I think. He was just saying this, I had to learn, this was always, this. If I pick this up, it means there's a fire I have to put out. And either I keep doing that and keep thinking my job is firefighter, or I own this thing and I am intentional with who I'm around, and I carve out time to do the firefighting, right? Yeah. And there are some things that are more urgent than others, but I think, even in, me and my devices and my thing, we're all so connected that it's easy to run. But then there's the other level of, there's a small business owner that my wife and I are connected with and friends with, and they went from manager to business owner. Yeah. And are having the hardest time handing things off. And actually it's because of, I think, guilt. That guilt that you're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm curious from your perspective, because you've been in family business, you started like how do you coach founders in that perspective? How do they get over I'm not working on the business, so but I'm still getting paid somehow. How do you scale that? How do you get over that? What's the process for you?
And this is why I'm such a big fan. So people are going, staffing EAs, right? It's not like the sexiest business, right? You're going, selling EAs to founders, right?
But it's a little sexier than, bolts.
I definitely, not as much as boats, have you seen right? But more than.
Have you seen a good bolt though? It's
pretty cool. There's some pretty cool things we did.
The bolts and the beam.
Oh, man. Yeah, you're like,
stop it.
There were so many taglines. We didn't even have time. We'd have to bleep out so many things. It's not even, and it was really blue collar, right? So the audience, who we were selling to.
It would be perfect.
It was amazing. I have whole stories around those guys that are just fantastic. But this is why I am so passionate. I would tell every founder I meet. And shout out to Dan Martell, writing Buy Back Your Time is by far one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
And I would send this, when we were doing sales, if I felt like someone was close, I would send them the book.
Yeah,
because
smart.
I would say, just go read this book.
Yeah.
Because he's going to talk about the mindset of, the 5 time assassins, right? He talks about these things. And it didn't hurt that he said your first hire should be an EA, right? That was his big shtick, right?
Yeah.
Smart.
I don't fully, as a guy who's running, don't get me wrong, I love that different companies have different needs, right? And again, this goes back to serving versus selling, right? Purely I think that, yes, we can, but sometimes you need that right hand to come help you that maybe is offset, especially if you think about EOS and having a visionary and integrator and those kind of things. But I think I would harp on every founder to have an executive assistant.
Yeah.
Every single one. And not just that, but and maybe even an executive assistant for your exec team, right?
Yeah.
That they share or maybe whatever it may be. Because of what you just talked about is, what if you aren't the one, though, trying to decide which fire to put out? Yeah. What if someone was actually blocking and tackling and saying, I'm only letting through what is necessary, right?
Good.
So you need someone with high levels of discernment.
High levels of discernment.
That is a lesson learned.
Yes.
If you're not hiring someone that has a high level of discernment and a high level of tenacity,
oh my gosh,
they will have a hard time pleasing you.
100%.
That is for sure.
That's why I think. That's why I think the staffing of it is so hard, though. Yeah. Right. That it is the piece of they don't. We found out over time as we were hiring more and more people, right? We started to go, these are the 10 qualities that make a great EA. But you nailed it. I think incredible discernment and wisdom, right? Yeah. Having to, can they vet through and decide, but also just a strong, a high sense of agency, bias to action. Because if they're waiting on you, to give me something else to do, or ooh, should I wait to get this thing done, or whatever it may be. I want someone that went, hey, you had a 2, but I went ahead and changed that because I realized you had this thing and you got to go pick up your kids. So I went ahead and shifted this around. I texted your wife. She already knows. Here's this thing, and here's what we're doing. I already emailed them, and they're going to do this at.
Yeah.
That's a game changer when you have someone like that.
Yeah, and there's so many other things that you can add on to that I've found over the years to increase your productivity. So
tell me about that.
When it comes to the seasonality of business,
yes,
it also goes into work-life balance, if you can call that a thing.
Yeah.
I call it a work-life season because there are seasons like summer when my kids are off school. I don't work as much.
Yeah.
And during the school year, I work a lot more.
Sure.
And so I set that expectation with my wife. And so during the seasons where it is work as hard as you can, I hire a driver.
So smart.
If I can justify the expense, I will fly private. There are things that make sense at that point in time because those critical hours set aside for work. Sure, I could probably spend a few extra hours, but guess what? I'm robbing from my family when I do that.
Yes.
And that is a no-go for me.
100%.
So there's just so many ways, but the EA is absolutely the first one. And if you get a good one, you are set. I am so blessed. Yashira, thank you.
Yeah. Shout out, Yashira.
I don't know why I'm looking up in heaven, but there you go.
Because you're feeling blessed. Lord Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.
I love it.
I think you're dead on. Because it is about buying back time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the greatest asset, right? In regards to, people always say that time's your greatest asset. I mean, I think health is your greatest asset because, look, let me tell you, if you have all the time in the world and you're sick, all you want is health.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But time, you have the ability to buy it back.
Yeah.
And I think, we actually interviewed Dan Martell, Aaron did, for a podcast.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool.
We asked him, how much you spend a year on like outsourcing? And he was like, probably like $2 million a year.
Wow.
Right at the time.
Wow.
And then we wrote a post about how you could do that though for a fraction of that. That you can, if you think about it, you're going, okay, go and look at everything in your life and start going, what am I, and not that you should outsource everything, because I'm not a pure optimist guy. That you have to optimize everything.
I need to fold my own laundry, honestly. no one else can do it like
I think sometimes there's some stuff, death by optimization. I think that truly that some of us are optimizing ourselves to death, right? It's not about like squeezing out every.
That's another podcast episode.
I'm going to say we don't have time for that. That's a whole different.
Yeah.
But actually going, can someone do your lawn?
Yeah.
Can someone do your laundry if you're okay with that? Maybe not the delicates, right? Like maybe leave those. You still do those, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't want that. But like chefs, guys, you can actually someone can make you go get groceries for you, cook you meal, put it in your fridge for way cheaper than you think.
Yeah.
And so we were helping execs look through and go, break down your time, do a time audit, and start figuring out what can I outsource based on the money that's there and what makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And also balancing too with like, what do I enjoy? Because you might enjoy some of those things.
I enjoy mowing my lawn.
Dude, I mean, amen.
I do love cooking.
Yeah.
And so I want to like, and so there are things, right? And I think you're right. You have to do an audit of it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do 7 more episodes.
I was about to say, I'm like,
but
dang,
I did get the 1 hour notice.
I do want to. I want to just.
How did that happen?
I'm like, that is impossible.
I want to note here before we leave.
Yeah.
You and talk as much as or little about what it is in the next step.
Yeah.
But and you can talk clearly about what it is you're doing next. But to lead in, I wanted to ask, what are you doing differently this time?
That's good.
Ooh,
in
great
starting
question.
a new company or being a part of starting a new company.
That's a great question.
And can you tell us about the company?
To whatever extent you can, because you guys are in fundraising phases.
Yeah, we're building in stealth right now. But I think the thing that I'm trying to think about is we're trying to live at the intersection of what I talked about earlier, of AI and humanity, right? Of what does AI look like being integrated into your company, and where? Because I literally heard Mark Cuban on a podcast talk about this a couple of days ago, where he said, the greatest hole in the market right now is going to be helping businesses implement AI into their companies. And I really do think he's right, that there's so much that we just don't know. Unless you have technical know-how and knowledge, it's hard to, who's the person running point on that? And then there's just a knowledge gap of the people on your team, of how do they get upskilled to the level of that. I think it's really the intentionality in which I'm going into it, right? Just trying to be prayerful. Yeah. And I don't know if it's much different than how I went into, because I'm proud of how I went into the last one.
And I just want to note here, very healthy exit.
Yeah. No, I mean, yes.
You and Aaron, great.
Dude, I mean, and that's because I think
it's rare, and we've had some other business owners on this season that are not so great.
Yeah, and I get that, and I think it's complicated and it's messy.
Yes,
but I think that if you can do it, and you're actually pursuing one another, and you're sustaining friendship and those kind of things, you're like, I'm rooting them on. I mean, I'm still attached to the company. I would still to this day, because you talked at the very beginning of being freed up, of like feeling all the pressure taken off of you sell. But I feel even more convictional about the company.
Yeah.
Right? Like, all of a sudden now I could say, oh, no, go to any EA agency, right? No, they're all great. You're like, you could say that, but I feel even more convictional than I ever did that.
So good.
No, I think what we did and what we've built together and where they're going next.
So great.
And I think that if you have that, the faith dynamics is really important to that. Of we went into that going, this is the intent. The end of this is we still have a friendship on the other side.
Yes.
That's
still, right?
Amazing.
But we just went with that, and it was messy. You're like, hard. We were like, it's going to be hard. We're going to have hard conversations, and that's just the way it goes. And we're gonna try to drop the ego, and we're gonna get there. And so really, man, I not much is changing around how I'm approaching it, but just more the intentionality and prayerfulness, and going, God, let me just, wherever you want to go, I want to follow you there.
That's so good.
So yeah,
so good.
Wow. Well, we unfortunately have had had the signal.
We're getting the red light blinking. You know, we're about to bring one of those hooks and pull you off stage. You know,
but Scott, we're gonna have to you come back,
guys. This was good. Thank y'all. I mean, I feel genuinely.
It's the start. Something new.
Oh gosh,
I don't know.
I thought I could do it there for a second. I don't know. It felt right. It felt right.
Hey Jack, can we include that in the trailer?
Please make sure.
It's the start.
No, but thank you guys for. I mean, genuinely, I feel humbled to be here.
Yeah,
so
good.
Luke,
Honored to have you.
wanted to connect, and so good to actually get some time in
Yeah,
person.
absolutely.
Thank y'all for
Absolutely.
the conversation
Love
today,
you, bro.
Awesome. All right, guys. If you
Two more questions.
Oh my
One more
gosh!
question.
I'm trying to rush this out.
One more question before we close.
Yeah,
This is
you
really
got this,
important.
man.
This has
Close
really
this
been
out.
fun. We've had a new theme throughout the season. It's kind of a new thing we're doing. You did miss our dinners, but that's okay.
I know.
We'll get you in there to
sick
meet
kids.
to meet the other guys another time. But one thing we've done is every guest is offered a question to the next guest, and so the previous. So number one, I'm gonna ask you to give a question to the next guest. But before we get there, I'll ask you our previous guest's question.
Okay. That's a great ending.
How do you as a leader, how can you begin to measure the ROI of the impact that your people have versus the ROI of the profits they can bring you?
How am I supposed to? I mean, one, you're like, I feel so much
Take
pressure
as
like,
long as you want.
Try,
Yeah,
well,
take
also,
as long as you want.
But also just thinking about, man, that question's so nuanced.
Yeah.
But I think one of the challenges is the best leaders I know measure themselves not just by the metrics of growth for their own life in the life of their company, but in the life of their people.
Amen.
Are you actually asking them, what lights you up? I think so many of us get so protective, right, of our thing, our businesses, versus going, how many leaders are you multiplying? Right? I want my legacy to be not that they came to work for me or they wanted to stay with me or, they stayed and they came for 20 years. If people are called to do that and that we're supposed to link up together and be together forever, I want the metric to be, no. How many businesses came out of this? So good. How many people got launched out into other things? How many people got, and not just that, and I think measuring on a holistic metric of how's your joy, right? That's the question I ask a lot. A question that is so important to me of not are you happy, not are you successful? Because the question I've been thinking a lot about is it's not well done, good and successful. It's not well done, good and happy.
And profitable.
It's well done, good and faithful. Yeah. So am I helping you as a leader be faithful to your calling in your life, to your wife, to your husband, to your kids, to the people in your orbit? Am I preventing you from that? Are you resenting me? Is there contempt? Is there these things where I've like in the way I'm leading you? And not saying that you got to like customize every single one, because it's a little bit more complicated than that when you lead, right? But I think that really measuring impact by, are they being faithful? Yeah. And do you even know what faithfulness is for that person? Because if you don't, then I'm going to question if whether you're leading well or not.
Wow.
Right? And so I want my legacy to be, man, did he empower people to be their best selves? To actually step into the calling that was unique and divine for them alone? And then did it impact and multiply, not just by addition, but by multiplication? All right. Did it impact their families, their kids, their communities? And I think that's a better measurement of success.
I love it. Love it, Scott. Final thing before we close. Could be fun, silly, serious, whatever scale that you want to go at here. Could be really simple. what question do you want to leave for the next guests?
It's a great question. I think
it's not fair that he knows who they are. It's not fair.
I kind of, but there's enough. There's enough nuance.
Okay,
I
cool.
think that
Cool,
there's
cool,
enough. A question. So I was on a podcast last week, and I think something really important I think about is just in light of everything that's been happening in our country, right? This past week is, and this been, you're like, I'm going to offer y'all two, because I think one's more distinct to business, and then maybe one's more distinct to life, right?
You got to record this.
Okay. Oh yeah. Hold on.
But I think I know you're gonna have to write it down.
We're gonna write it down.
I can't tell you how many of these we. Yeah,
We're so easy to not have them,
We're working on our system.
Okay. All right. Bring it.
But I think that there's something so important about, I think on the business side is, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, and what would you tell them, right? And that's really simple. But I think there's just something about, there's a younger generation that I believe in fully, right? I mean, I was a youth pastor, right? I know a lot of people look at it and they're going like, the next generation. But I'm like, man, there's a revival happening in the next generation.
Yeah.
There is, I've seen some of these young leaders, and I'm so impressed by them. I'm not one of those people that has, like, I'm looking at the future negatively. I'm going, no, I believe in this next generation. And so what wisdom do they have for that next generation of going, hey, if you could tell your 25-year-old self, or 21, you're getting into the workplace, and knowing what you know now with the wisdom that you have, with the know-how, and maybe it's, what would you tell about how to build a flourishing career?
Nice.
I think that's my question would be, if you could go back to your young professional self and go, what steps should you put in place to flourish in your life and career? What would you tell that person, right?
Okay. Number two.
Number two is, I think, how do we, as a country, get back to having conversation with each other?
Oh, that's so good.
I just think we're all of a sudden we've started dehumanizing and demonizing the other side across the board.
Sure.
And I just want to know, but we talk about it and then we lament it. And then I'm going, yeah, but who's changing it?
Yeah.
And so my question would just be, how would we cultivate a world that is built around conversation and relationship a little bit more than we have currently?
Amen.
So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Love your heart in that. Love your heart in that.
Boys.
So good.
Guys,
All
thank
right.
y'all. I mean, this was, I could not have had a better time. You two are amazing. I mean, both of y'all, I'm so impressed by what you've built, and if you guys, to answer even more, Luca, your question around like, what am I doing intentionally is I want it to be that when I was talking to my partner, I said, I want it to be good. And that, and not a pun, right? I'm not doing this, not doing this to, puff them up. No, but it was in this season of my life, I want to do good and to build something good that does good in the world with good people, right? Like, and if that's the measurement, to give me that all day, give me that all day, 10 times out of 10, So
Praise God.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Scott.
Come on.
Pleasure, man. Well, guys, this was a full one. I know you guys enjoyed that. I did. And I would love for you to share this with a friend. If you know of a business owner who needs to be freed up, if you know of a leader in a business, whether it's you or a friend or someone in between, I would highly recommend that you share this episode. If you are on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give us a 5-star review. Whoop, hello. And don't hit the mic. And if you're watching on YouTube, LinkedIn, anywhere else, please hit that like button and subscribe so that you can be in tune or tuned in for the next episode, because, guys, we got more coming, and I can't wait to share it with you. Scott, have a blessed one.
Hey,
thank you.
guys.
And y'all, go impact the world for good. Let's do it.